Up, Carthage police recover a body of a missing person from Spring River. And as Missouri continues to deal with a rise in COVID cases, Freeman Hospital adds another COVID unit for patients. Also, authorities arrest a man who could be connected to bank robberies in Kansas and Missouri. Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. It's gonna be a hot and sunny day today. And you know what? Probably an even warmer weekend.
Waiting on the heat wave, and it has arrived. You'll notice, Tanya, each and every morning, the number of 70s that we're able to throw up at the 5 o'clock hour, well, they keep increasing. Right now, Monette and Sedan, they're the only ones below the 70-degree mark. We got as high as 74 right now when Welch Joplin sits at 72 as the wind has now officially shifted all the way around, and it's coming in from the south, luckily just 5 to 10 miles per hour. Skywatch Storm Tracker, crystal clear as far as what we're looking at nationally. Once again, the ridge of the jet stream progresses toward the Great Lakes. That's that low pressure system working off the coast of the Florida-Georgia line there that very well could turn into a tropical storm. We'll keep our eyes on that over the weekend, but luckily not a whole lot of thunderstorm activity to talk about unless you get up into the very, very upper plains through portions of North Dakota and Minnesota and then tracking there into Wisconsin. Our weather trend is going to put us squarely up into the 90s. So we'll see about 90, 91. So you factor in everything, it's going to feel about like 96. Now, every now and then, you'll notice on the 7-day forecast, we just keep a slight chance for rain in there each and every day. That's just that, what they call diurnal heating, which you get in the afternoon and evening hours when we hit that peak, get that instability. And, I saw about 5 minutes of raindrops yesterday, but that was about all it equivocated to. And then, as Tanya alluded to, on Saturday, we just keep on getting hotter. We'll go 93 on Saturday, 95 on Sunday. Tanya, as of right now, no heat advisory in effect for the 4 states. Actually just stopped short of us up to the north. And of course, you still have the excessive heat watch there for the Kansas City metro area if you have weekend plans and you're headed up there. But I got a feeling by the time we get Saturday or Sunday, that old heat advisory is going to shift a little bit to the south and encompass our counties as well.
All right. What about those little chances of rain each day?
Like I said, it's about equivocate to about the 5 minutes that I saw yesterday.
Yeah, a couple spits.
Actually opened up on me for 45 seconds. And I was like, should I go in the garage? By the time I got to the garage, it was like, oh, we're done.
There you go. There you go. All right, thanks, Michael. The Carthage Police Department recovers a body from Spring River yesterday afternoon. Authorities believe the body is that of Thomas Whittaker of Carthage. Whittaker has been missing since July 6th. The Carthage PD is conducting a death investigation and waiting on pathology reports to confirm the identity. Authorities arrest a man who could be connected to bank robberies in both Kansas and southwest Missouri. The Miami County Sheriff's Office says officers have arrested a suspect in the robbery of Landmark National Bank in Lewisburg, Kansas on Monday. Earlier this week, Joplin police were investigating whether it was the same man who robbed Great Southern Bank later that same day. Surveillance images show a robber wearing similar clothing and driving a white car in both cases. Formal charges are still pending. A Galena, Kansas man is dead following a motorcycle crash. Kansas Highway Patrol says 20-year-old Theodore Lane III was driving southbound on State Line Road. Lane left the roadway, struck a telephone pole, and was ejected from the motorcycle. Lane was pronounced at the scene. Joplin's Freeman Hospital adds a 3rd unit to handle COVID-19 patients. Freeman's director of COVID services says the new unit is in response to the increasing number of coronavirus patients they've seen over the last month and a half. The new COVID unit will assist coronavirus patients who are transitioning out of the intensive care unit. Freeman is currently caring for 46 COVID-infected patients, and the new unit will help deal with a pandemic that's requiring more and more of the hospital's resources.
This addition of the 3rd unit, this now represents about 20% of all of the bed capacity that Freeman has for just one diagnosis, just COVID patients.
Dr. McNabb says the vast majority of patients they are seeing have not received a COVID-19 vaccine. More than 100,000 Missourians have already signed up for the state's vaccine incentive program. 900 residents who are or will become vaccinated will win $10,000. We learned that Missouri residents who are vaccinated in another state are eligible, but they will have to supply their vaccine card to prove they were vaccinated. Officials also reiterated that the program's main goal is to get unvaccinated Missourians to look at getting the vaccine.
500,000 people, looking at a website that's packed with factual information about vaccination in the state of Missouri. 500,000 people taking a look at that is a win already.
Officials say Missourians will not be able to remain anonymous if they win. The state will give their name and the city and county where they live. The first drawing is on August 13th. The Missouri Supreme Court has vacated a lower court's decision in the state's Medicaid expansion case. The High Court says the voter-approved plan to offer Medicaid to more people should stand. The Cole County Circuit Court argued that the plan violated the Missouri Constitution because it did not provide a funding mechanism. This came after Governor Mike Parson refused to implement the plan when the state legislature did not fund it. The state Supreme Court disagreed, and now the case will head back to the Circuit Court. The expansion is expected to add Medicaid eligibility for up to 275,000 Missourians. Missouri's Attorney General Eric Schmidt announced a major opioid settlement. Under the settlement, Johnson & Johnson will pay out $5 billion in total to all states that agree to the terms. The multiple distributors will pay out $21 billion in total. Missouri could receive just over $500 million combined through these settlements. These settlements will be record-breaking for the state of Missouri. And a federal judge temporarily blocks Arkansas's ban on gender-affirming treatment for transgender youth. The American Civil Liberties Union filed to stop the ban on behalf of 4 transgender adolescents in Arkansas, as well as 2 doctors who provide gender-affirming care to trans youth in the state. The ruling means for now Arkansas will not be able to begin enforcing the ban on July 28th, the day it was set to go into effect. The state's GOP-led legislature enacted the ban in April after overriding Republican Governor Asa Hutchinson's veto of the measure. LGBTQ and medical advocates strongly opposed the legislation, citing fears it could have significant negative impacts on the mental health of trans youth. It's 5:07.
After topping out at 87 degrees yesterday at Joplin Regional Airport, a little bit warmer today. We'll get up into the 90s. Sunrise officially over Joplin at 6:16. Going to feel about like 96 this afternoon. Overnight, we'll go clear to calm and warm. Little south breeze, just 5 to 10 miles per hour. Going to keep a slight chance for rain each and every day. Just one of those afternoon, evening pop-up ones. Nothing sustained and won't get really any accumulation out of it. Big thing is by the time we hit the weekend, we're talking about mid-90s, and we carry that all the way through next week.
That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, a bump in vaccination rates.
The Delta variant is leading to a surge in hospitalizations, but there's also some good news. I'm Laura Podesta with what could be leading to an uptick in vaccinations.
Plus, we catch up with the Pittsburgh Post 64 before their upcoming tournament. And the opening ceremony today marks the official start to the delayed 2020 Summer Olympics in Japan. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Joplin Outlaws needing to gain some ground in the Mink League South Division and had a chance last night as they faced the top team in the South, the Sedalia Bombers, and great win for the Outlaws as they battle back, score 3 runs in the 9th inning, win this thing 6-4. Joplin racking up a few home runs in this series. Last night it was Drake Angeron and Ethan Ellis, both with 2-run homers. Caleb Fierstake went 3 for 4. Pittsburgh Post 64 already had postseason success this year, won the zone tournament last weekend, and now all eyes set on the state tournament as the Patriots get home field advantage. Our own Danny Terzer caught up with the team ahead of the tournament start.
Pittsburgh Post 64 is hunting down the team's 5th state championship.
For the state tournament, it's win time. The best kids are going to be playing. We're going to go all out, and we're going to try to take this thing home.
This year, the opportunity to win it all is extra special. The Patriots are the tournament hosts.
We get to come out in a field we're comfortable with and we've played on all year.
Pittsburgh is fresh off a zone championship
We wanted to get some postseason baseball experience. These are games that actually matter and they count. And I think it's going to be a good experience for us going into the state.
And are playing their best baseball.
I think we're hitting our stride at the right time. I think everybody's just kind of excited and all our work we're putting in is starting to pay off.
We all kind of like came from different places, but I feel like we've all meshed really well together. So when that happens, energy's always high. You feel confident, you feel good playing. We've played enough together at this point that we're all kind of used to each other. We know what we're about to do, and I think we can go far in the state tournament.
The last time Pittsburgh won was in 2014, and 2021 feels like the year to bring it back.
It's been a while since we've had some really good teams and just have fallen short, and I think it's our time. When we get there, we're going to be ready to go.
It'd be really special, bring a state championship back to Pittsburgh and play with these guys and win one.
State tournament begins next Wednesday, July the 28th. In round 2 of the Kansas Little League State Tournament, last night's game featuring a matchup between Pittsburgh and Cherokee. This game in the winner's bracket, Will Schremer works the count, takes pitch, get out of here. Get out of here into the trees. 2-run home run for Schremer. Pittsburgh leads 2-0. Next inning, Cherokee threatening, runner on third. Pitch scoots away. Colton Simmons makes up for it with the play at home. Able to keep Cherokee off the board with a nice tag right there. Pittsburgh back to work and add more in the bottom of the inning. Jaden Beltran. Put her in play, good things happen. Colton Smith-Heisler comes home. Pittsburgh wins this thing 10-0. St. Louis Cardinals have climbed back to a .500 record following a walk-off win against the Cubs on Wednesday. Playing now for the series win, and in the finale, Cards do it. Win this thing 3-2. Dylan Carlson, 3 for 4 with a solo home run. Nolan Arenado also homers. He had a 2-run shot. Still to come on the KOAM Morning News, while the world has its eyes on Tokyo for the Olympics, a small town in England is taking credit for inspiring the competition. And a check on our 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Right at 5:17 for weather on the 7s. It was 10 years ago to the day where we hit 105 degrees, and that just happens to be our record for this July the 23rd. Average high about 91, so we really haven't been too far off, and we're going to be right on par with it for today. It's just this is the beginning of a little bit of a end of July heat wave that we're going to be in the midst of. Everybody pretty much in the low to mid 70s already, clinging to a pair of high 60s there in Monette and Sedan, with the wind officially making it shift all the way around to the south compared to what we had yesterday. We actually started off to the east. Now, in the orange, that's going to indicate the heat advisory. And then in the purplish color, that's an excessive heat watch for the metro Kansas City area. You'll notice the heat advisories, they extend quite a bit up to the north. While they don't affect our counties right now, I'm not going to be surprised if by the time we get to the weekend that we're not, at least our northern counties are not part of that, just because our heat index readings gradually going to end up there in that 100, that triple digit. But you can tell it just falls short of our counties. All right, here's the national perspective. Not a whole lot of action. I did want to point this out. Look at this V shape of the heat wave right there. Isn't that something else? That's penetrating far, far to the north through portions of Canada. And then as we turn our attention down to the southeast right here, that's that low pressure that's right now getting ready to kick off the coast right on the Florida-Georgia line. And as it forces everything into the Atlantic, there's a chance that ends up materializing into a tropical storm here. And it's going to take a little bit, but that's something to eyeball here over the weekend. It's been quiet in the tropics. Not that that's a bad thing. You'll also notice, too, where we're talking about that V with the heat wave. That's also where we see the severe thunderstorm risk map in that low category. They got a chance for high wind and hail. For us, it's just plenty of sunshine. Any rain that we do see is going to be a quick hitter, come and go, work its way up from the south. Mostly stay east of the Ozarks, though, for this Friday. And as we roll into Saturday, it's going to be more so afternoon and evening when those are going to pop up. See that timeline right there, about 4:30, and that is our peak heating hours as well. With a 7-day forecast that's going to heat us up into the mid-90s on Saturday and Sunday, feel easily like triple digits by the end of the weekend, and we're going to roll that all through the course of next week. Time now to turn our attention to the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll. Today is the day, albeit a year overdue, The Tokyo 2020 Summer Olympics, even though it's 2021, finally officially opened with a streamlined ceremony. Starts at 6 a.m. this morning. Laura Podesta on details of what we can expect and also the athletes already making history.
Better late than never. Today in the year 2021 is the official kickoff for the 2020 Summer Olympics. Women's basketball star Sue Bird and baseball infielder Eddie Alvarez were chosen as flag bearers for Team USA. First Lady Jill Biden is leading the U.S. delegation at the opening ceremony.
Congratulations. Becoming an Olympian is a rare accomplishment in a normal time. But you did it during a global pandemic.
Like all the competitions, the stands for the opening ceremony will be mostly empty. In addition to COVID's negative impact, the games have also been hit by some controversies. An opening ceremony music composer resigned after it came out he spoke to a magazine about having bullied classmates, including those with disabilities. And an opening ceremony director was dismissed for appearing to make Holocaust jokes as part of a past comedy act. New York Times Tokyo bureau chief Motoko Rich has covered the missteps.
The organizers are probably hoping yes, win some medals so that we can draw attention away from all these scandals.
Team USA's Simone Biles recently showed off her signature vault in training with none of the usual spectators because of COVID restrictions. Daily cases in Tokyo have reached a new 6-month high of nearly 2,000. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
Already have had to withdraw because of positive COVID tests. The latest one being Taylor Crabb. He's a professional beach volleyball player. Crabb having to withdraw. Not only did he show up with vaccinations, full vaccinations, but also 4 negative COVID tests before testing positive over in Japan. Our question to you on the Insta poll: are you watching the Olympics this year? Log on to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Catch up with some of your results. Health Watch next.
Topping Health Watch this morning, more than 80% of all new COVID-19 cases in the U.S. are the Delta variant. That's according to federal health officials. It's leading to a surge in hospitalizations, but also an uptick in vaccinations. More than 610,000 Americans have died since the pandemic began. CBS's Laura Podesta has the latest.
New cases of COVID-19 are mostly in states with low vaccination rates.
This week, just 3 states, Florida, Texas, and Missouri, accounted for 40% of all cases nationwide.
Some good news. White House health officials noted vaccination rates are going up in states being hit hardest.
We need to come together as one nation, unified in our resolve to protect the health of ourselves, our children, our community, our country, and our future.
Missouri has seen a bump in vaccinations, but officials at local hospitals say they're already suffering.
We've had days in the last few weeks where 100% of our ICU patients were ventilated.
Mercy Hospital's chief administrator, Eric Frederick, says the next few weeks will get worse as the highly contagious Delta variant circulates unchecked.
It's making people sicker. It's getting into a younger population. For last year, a lot of communities were masking, there was social distancing, and restaurants had limited capacity. That's all gone away.
Over the last week, Louisiana reported its biggest increase in hospitalizations since the spring of 2020. Just over 1 in 3 residents are fully vaccinated.
The pressure that this amount of patients puts on us, we can't do a great job every day. It's impossible.
Overseas, Italy has joined France in requiring proof of vaccination or of a negative test to participate in certain activities like visiting a museum or eating indoors. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
The NFL is sending a strong message about vaccines, announcing yesterday COVID outbreaks among unvaccinated players could lead to forfeited games this coming season and players suffering financial losses. Nearly 50% of doctors and nurses working in intensive care units around the world have shown signs of mental health conditions due to the pandemic, including depression, insomnia, and PTSD. That's according to London researchers who also found mental health conditions are significantly worse for staff who wear personal protective equipment for more than 6 hours a day. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Tanya, you know what that NFL memo means? Like, as a fan, you think about wins and losses, right? Like is my team going to have to take an automatic loss because we had a COVID outbreak? You know what that means for the 53 guys on that team? No paycheck.
Ooh.
You forfeit a game, you do not get paid, folks. That's what this is about. This is not about wins and losses. The NFL is saying you cause a COVID outbreak, you and the other 52 dudes in that locker room, you ain't getting paid. Highest day in the 90s. We'll be back right after this. 55.
Coming up, Carthage police recover the body of a missing person from Spring River. And as Missouri continues to deal with a rise in COVID cases, Freeman Hospital adds another COVID unit for patients. Also, authorities arrest a man who could be connected to bank robberies in both Kansas and Missouri.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:30. I'm Tanya Bach. It's going to be a hot and sunny day today and an even hotter weekend. Let's go ahead and take a look at the forecast.
And you know, we've been talking about the impending heat wave, and yes, it is upon us, but at the same point in time, let's remember our average high will be 91 degrees, so we'll be right on par with that. It's really what's coming here on Saturday and Sunday, just as you alluded to, Tanya, and it sticks around with us all weekend long. Whole bunch of 70s already on the board here at pre-sunrise. Sunrise will be here at 6:16 this morning. 72 in Joplin and Carthage, 72 in Chanute and Parsons, 72 in Miami and Stockton. That is our dominant number on this Friday morning, excuse me. Wind tracker coming in from the south right now, albeit 5 to 10 miles per hour. So it's not blustery by any means. But that will, add a couple degrees here by the time we get to our peak heating hours that usually fall, say between 4 and 5. I think yesterday we topped out at 87 degrees at 4:57 p.m. at Joplin Regional Airport. Big heat wave up to the north. Look at this thing, all the way up into central Canada, and give you an idea how it really just about the entire United States right now is a little bit above normal temperatures, and even though we're right on par, we're going to be able to exceed those here for Saturday and Sunday at least. Future track, there's a little pop-up every now and then. Same thing we had yesterday. Mainly it wants to stay out to the east and to the south as far as our counties go, so it's not widespread. And the farther west and north you live, the drier, as a matter of fact, the hotter you're going to be. I know that sounds a little odd, but remember, with that big heat dome up to the north as it falls down upon us, that's why we've got the excessive heat watch for the KC metro area and the heat advisories that stretch really from northern Missouri all the way through Iowa. It hasn't affected us as of yet, but yeah, that's why it's going to be a little bit hotter for our northern counties.
All right. It's July, almost August.
Yeah.
It's kind of expected, right?
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, it had all the rain. Gosh, doesn't seem like it was, but almost, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. Now I'm going to get the heat.
Yeah, it's coming. All right, thanks, Michael. Well, the Carthage Police Department recovers a body from Spring River yesterday afternoon. Authorities believe the body is that of Thomas Whittaker of Carthage. Whittaker has been missing since July 6th. The Carthage PD is conducting a death investigation and waiting on pathology reports to confirm the identity. Authorities arrest a man who could be connected to bank robberies in both Kansas and Missouri. The Miami County Sheriff's Office in Kansas says officers arrested a suspect in the robbery of Landmark National Bank in Lewisburg, Kansas on Monday. Earlier this week, Joplin police were investigating whether it was the same man who robbed Great Southern Bank later that same day. Surveillance images show a robber wearing similar clothing and driving a white car in both cases. Formal charges are still pending. Joplin's Freeman Hospital adds a third unit to handle COVID-19 patients. Freeman's director of COVID services says the new unit is in response to the increasing number of coronavirus patients they've seen over the last month and a half. The new COVID unit will assist coronavirus patients who are transitioning out of the intensive care unit. Freeman is currently caring for 46 COVID-infected patients, and the new unit will help deal with the pandemic that's requiring more and more of the hospital's resources.
With this addition of the third unit, this now represents about 20% of all of the bed capacity that Freeman has for just one diagnosis, just COVID patients.
Dr. McNabb says the vast majority of the patients they're seeing have not received a COVID-19 vaccine. The Missouri Supreme Court has vacated a lower court's decision in the state's Medicaid expansion case. The High Court says the voter-approved plan to offer Medicaid to more people should stand. The Cole County Circuit Court argued that the plan violated the Missouri Constitution because it did not provide a funding mechanism. This came after Governor Mike Parson refused to implement the plan when the state legislature did not fund it. The state Supreme Court disagreed, and now the case will head back to the Circuit Court. The expansion is expected to add Medicaid eligibility for up to 275,000 Missourians. Missouri's Attorney General Eric Schmidt announces a major opioid settlement. Under the settlement, Johnson & Johnson will pay out $5 billion in total to all states that agree to the terms, and the multiple distributors will pay out $21 billion in total. Missouri could receive just over $500 million combined through these settlements. These settlements will be record-breaking for the state of Missouri. City of Joplin hosted a public meeting last night to go over improvements they plan to make to the intersection of 4th and Murphy Boulevard. City officials say they plan to put in new lights at the four-way stop. Number of lanes is also changing. It's currently a 4-lane road, but now will be a 2-lane road with a center turn lane and a bike lane.
To see this one finally moving forward, and Murphy Boulevard is a popular route for people going to work and leaving work, so I think ultimately it should improve the quality of people's commute into and out of town.
Work on the intersection will begin summer of 2022 and is expected to finish later that year. The changes will be funded by the capital improvement sales tax. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News. A teen at the Jersey Shore gets more than the thrill ride that she bargained for when she had a mid-air collision with a seagull. Ouch. Plus, a small-town doctor that changed history in one small town with his own version of the Olympic Games. We'll have the details, but first, it's 5:37.
It'll pop up every now and then as far as the rain goes for this afternoon. It's going to be a hot one, up into the 90s. Overnight, mostly clear and calm. I should also say warm. Here's an idea of that little pop, pop, pop I was talking about. It'll generate from the south, more so on the eastern and southern edges of our counties. And there you go for the afternoon hours. Then it pushes off east of the Ozarks. Clear off overnight, and then once again on Saturday, just about the same thing, same time period as well. Afternoon hours, works its way up. Once again, it could be a little bit warmer up to the north end of the west. Warmer, I should say hotter. Just because that's where they have the excessive heat watches, and that's where all that heat's originating from, the upper plains, and then dropping down on us. Once we get up into the mid-90s over the weekend, we're going to roll that all through the course of next week. We'll be back with World Watch right after this.
Where should you... Topping World Watch, Israel is accused of carrying out an airstrike in Syria on Thursday. An unidentified military official has accused Israel launching missiles into the Qusair region of Homs, Syria. The state news agency reports most of the missiles were shot down before they reached the unknown target. This most recent alleged attack comes just days after Syria reported an Israeli-issued airstrike in the Aleppo province. The Britain-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights claims those missiles were targeting an Iranian-backed militia's weapons supply. Well, the Danish military spot Iranian warships entering the Baltic Sea. The Danish Air Force posted photographs of an Iranian destroyer and a large support vessel passing through Danish waters. The two warships are headed to Russia to take part in a military parade in the coming days. Sunday's parade in St. Petersburg will mark the 325th anniversary of the Russian fleet. The naval parade will involve 54 ships from countries including Iran, India, and Pakistan. An artist in Italy graced the French embassy with a mural art installation depicting a virtual hole. The unique artwork was created by French artist who goes by the name of Junior. The installation is located at Palazzo Farnese, known as one of the most famous palaces in the Italian capital city. One of the rooms in the palace is not open to visitors, so Junior created the virtual hole to give people a first-hand look of what it looks like from the inside, or looks like inside from the outside. There you go. Well, as the world turns its attention to the Olympic Games in Tokyo, tiny town in England is being credited with inspiring the decades-old competition. Ian Lee reports from London.
This little town in England has a big sporting history. It all started with the town's doctor, William Brooks, who worried residents were out of shape.
He said, what can we do? We can put on games and get people to get fit so they can compete in these games.
So in 1850, he created the Wenlock Olympian Games.
You can see there's a program here listing all the events over 1, 2, 3 days.
Back then, events were a bit different, with athletes racing penny-farthing bicycles.
There are hopes of another British win.
The games took off and inspired visiting Frenchman Baron Pierre de Coubertin.
He started his campaign to revive the modern Olympic movement.
The Wenlock Games even laid the foundation for winning medals as well as opening ceremonies.
We had a procession through the town. You couldn't take part in his games if you didn't take part in his procession.
In 2012, the London Olympics paid tribute to Brooks's vision with a torch relay through the town, even naming the mascot after Wenlock. With the Olympic flame now passed to Tokyo, spare a thought for the small-town doctor who changed history. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
The Wenlock Olympian Games still take place every summer, but like the Tokyo Games, they were postponed last year because of COVID. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. Let's toss it over to Michael for our Something to Talk About.
Thank you, Tanya. On the KOAM News Now Facebook page in our morning Insta poll. It is a year overdue, but the Tokyo 2020 or 2021 Summer Olympics, if you will, officially underway with a streamlined opening ceremony. USA women's basketball star Sue Bird and baseball player Eddie Alvarez, also Winter Olympic silver medalist speed skater Eddie Alvarez. That's right. Dude plays baseball and is a speed skater, and he's Cuban. Yeah, it's just an amazing story. They were chosen as flag bearers for Team USA. First Lady Jill Biden leading the U.S. delegation at the opening ceremony. Like all competitions, the stands for the opening ceremony will be mostly empty. In addition to COVID's negative impact, the games have also been hit by some controversies. Cases in Tokyo have reached a new 6-month high of nearly 2,000 people. Our question to you on the Insta poll this morning: are you watching the Olympics this year? Now, granted, opening ceremony is just today, but right now, 78% of you say, no, I'm not going to block out my calendar for that. And you can take part each and every morning. All you have to do is, number one, you can go through our Facebook page, KOAM News Now, or go directly to the poll by visiting KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. We'll be back with the news you need to know before you head out the door right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. A sweeping internet outage briefly took down dozens of the world's biggest internet companies, including Google and Amazon, as well as major banks and airlines. The outage appears to have been triggered by a bug at Akamai, which hosts websites on its network platform. Akamai told CBS News it has implemented a fix and said this was not a result of a cyber attack. Carthage Police Department recovers a body from Spring River yesterday afternoon. Authorities believe the body is that of Thomas Whittaker of Carthage. Whittaker has been missing since July 6th. The Carthage PD is conducting a death investigation and waiting on pathology reports to confirm his identity. Authorities arrest a man who could be connected to bank robberies in both Kansas and southwest Missouri. The Miami County, Kansas Sheriff's Office says officers arrested a suspect in the robbery of Landmark National Bank in Lewisburg, Kansas on Monday. Now, earlier this week, Joplin police were investigating whether it was the same man who robbed the Great Southern Bank later that same day. Surveillance images show a robber wearing similar clothing and driving a white car in both cases. Formal charges are still pending. The Missouri Supreme Court vacates a lower court's decision in the state's Medicaid expansion case. The High Court says the voter-approved plan to offer Medicaid to more people should stand. The Cole County Circuit Court argued that the plan violated the Missouri Constitution because it did not provide a funding mechanism. This came after Governor Mike Parson refused to implement the plan when the state legislature did not fund it. The state Supreme Court disagreed, and now the case will head back to the Circuit Court. The expansion is expected to add Medicaid eligibility for up to 275,000 Missourians. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Got a little bit before sunrise. It'll be at 6:16 over Joplin. There's a live look outside of Television City right there, but as you can tell, it is clear as can be. Going to be a gorgeous, gorgeous Friday morning start with temperatures that are already anywhere from low to mid 70s. Each and every day we add a couple more 70s to the board. Waiting on people in Monette probably laughing at the rest of us. Monette's looking at us, everybody else going, ha ha ha. We're at least at 69. The rest of you are going to be sweltering here in a little bit. We're going to push up into the 90s very quickly. We'll be easily mid 80s by noon, if not high 80s, and end up feeling about like 96 here later on. Any chance for rain we got? It's very limited, and more so going to be south and east in our highlighted counties. The heaviest stuff's going to hang to the east of the Ozarks, but it's the same point, about like yesterday. Could get about 5-10 minutes of a nice steady rain, and then it'll dissipate, move out of the way. As we work into Saturday, just about same as far as rain and time period, really from about 2 to 5 is going to be the best bet. Speaking of Saturday and Sunday going to be up into the mid 90s. And once we hit that, well, we're just going to carry that for pretty much the rest of July and into the beginning of August. Be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
A teenager at the Jersey Shore got more of a thrill ride than she bargained for when she had a mid-air collision with a seagull. But surprisingly, she kept her cool. Jenny Moose takes a look at the video.
It's a ride called a spring shot in Wildwood, New Jersey, but look what shot into this teenager's neck. 13-year-old Kylie Holman took it on the chin. She and her friend Georgia Reed were celebrating Georgia's birthday when the seagull joined the party.
I quickly grabbed it and threw it off of me.
Kylie says the bird flew away seemingly unhurt, posted one commenter. Meanwhile, on avian Twitter, OMG, this girl just flew right into my face.
It was really light. I only felt its neck rubbing against my neck, and it only left a tiny scratch.
Kylie kept trying to tell Georgia about the bird strike, but
she told me to stop talking.
Because I thought I was going to throw up.
From all the spinning,
Oh my God! I can't wait to see this video.
The video reminded folks of something. She got Fabio'd. Remember when the model with the flowing hair
Hello, ladies. Don't look at your man. Look at me.
got smacked on a roller coaster, allegedly by a goose, 22 years ago? Well, there's been a twist to the story, as Fabio told Australia's Studio 10.
The goose hit the video camera. The video camera split, and a piece of video camera barely slashed the bridge of my nose.
Being upside down made the cut look extra bloody. Kylie's collision also reminded viewers of Hitchcock's The Bird. But whether it's The Birds or Fabio,
no.
These two never heard of them until now. Kylie says she loves all animals except bugs, so she's glad the seagull survived. As for whether or not they'd ride the spring shot again,
I would.
These two may be birds of a feather, but they're not flocking together on the spring shot.
I don't think I could stop watching that video. That was good.
I just can't. Every time I'm watching, I'm just amazed at how I just can't put myself on that. I don't know how I'd react. I don't know if I'd have the wherewithal just to be able to.
And then she's like, I can't wait to see the video.
Dispatch the bird and go on and have my fun as a kid. That's tremendous.
Do you remember when that happened to Fabio?
I do, yeah. Because the thing about the Fabio video that it's not funny. That's not what I'm trying to say.
It looked painful.
He was okay. He was okay. It's the look of the younger woman sitting behind him. Because I think she may have gotten a little residual from Fabio's face. So when they're slowing, I've always loved that video. To watch the look on the face of the young woman sitting behind Fabio, who's kind of like, I don't know what that wet stuff was, but
yeah, Was it, you never know when you're on a ride, an amusement ride, and something
Right.
liquidy comes in your face. It's kind
You
of
ever had anything crazy happen?
I never even looked at her face. I was always looking at the girl sitting next to him when I would look over and see like blood and a piece of his nose missing and like being concerned. There was not a look of concern on her face. She was smiling.
I think you could tell she was asking if he was all right, though.
But she was smiling at him like, you'd be all right. That was fun. Let's go again. That's the look she gave me.
She's like, you're Fabio.
You can do it.
I would also like to know if this young girl, if her friend like fully comprehended what happened until they watched the video. She may not have even known.
Probably not, yeah.
That's crazy.
She was concerned about throwing up.
All right, let's come back. I tell you what, it's going to be hot and sunny today. We'll come back and I'll update the Insta poll right after this.
All right.
KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll. It is a year later than anticipated, but today marks the opening ceremonies of what would have been the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. Now we're going to refer to them as the 2021 Tokyo Summer Olympics. And a number of U.S. athletes are going to miss the games with positive COVID tests, among them Coco Gauff, Bradley Beal, and the latest one, Taylor Grubb, who just tested positive despite being fully vaccinated and having 4 negative tests before arriving in Tokyo. Taylor is a beach volleyball player. Our question to you, are you watching the Olympics this year? Right now, 79% of you say, no, don't plan on taking it in. Take part by going to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. We'll be back right after this.
Coming up, Carthage police recover the body of a missing person from Spring River. And as Missouri continues to deal with a rise in COVID cases, Freeman Hospital adds another COVID unit for patients. Also, authorities arrest a man who could be connected to bank robberies in both Kansas and Missouri.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. It's going to be hot and sunny today. And guess what? Even hotter this weekend.
Yeah, this is just the beginning of it. Live look outside of Television City, where we are now 16 minutes away from sunrise in Joplin, where it's 73 degrees. Iola and Monette, the only two, throw Sedan in there as well. The only 3 places we have that are still clinging to 69. You know, day by day, each day this week, we've seen a little bit additional 70s on the board here pre-sunrise, and now we're all entrenched in it. As a matter of fact, up to 74 right now in Welch, as the wind has now completed its shift and will steadily work in from the south here for the next several days. Skywatch Storm Tracker remains on the old clear side. Really don't even have any cloud cover to worry about as the entire United States remains quiet. It's mostly talking about the heat as it makes its way all the way up there into central Canada, and that is also where they have the threat for thunderstorm activity on this day. We'll remain on the quiet side. Any rain that we do see is going to pop up from northwest Arkansas, mainly for the southern and eastern portions of our counties, and afternoon highs up to 90. Here's what Future Track will show. There it is, arriving and then pushing off east toward the Ozarks. Very warm overnight as well. And then Saturday, kind of rinse and repeat. Best time period for a shot of rain is going to be 2 to 5 p.m. You'll notice, though, you work out to the west, you work up to the north, not only drier, but also hotter. So by the time we get to Saturday, today feeling like 96, tomorrow feeling like 98, 99, Sunday through the rest of next week, that's when we'll be rolling heat indices triple digits.
There you go. Keep an eye on that. We're lucky we're not in that heat advisory yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
Keyword yet.
Yet being the operative word there, folks.
All right, thanks, Michael. Carthage Police Department recovers a body from Spring River yesterday afternoon. Authorities believe the body is that of Thomas Whittaker of Carthage. Whittaker has been missing since July 6th. The Carthage PD is conducting a death investigation and waiting on pathology reports to confirm the identity. Authorities arrest a man who could be connected to bank robberies in both Kansas and southwest Missouri. The Miami County, Kansas Sheriff's Office says officers arrested a suspect in the robbery of Landmark National Bank in Lewisburg, Kansas on Monday. Earlier this week, Joplin police were investigating whether it was the same man who robbed the Great Southern Bank later that same day. Surveillance images show a robber wearing similar clothing and driving a white car in both cases. Formal charges are still pending. A Galena, Kansas man is dead following a motorcycle crash. Kansas Highway Patrol says 20-year-old Theodore Lane III was driving southbound on State Line Road. Lane left the roadway, struck a telephone pole, and was ejected from the motorcycle. Lane was pronounced dead at the scene. Joplin's Freeman Hospital adds a third unit to handle COVID-19 patients. Freeman's director of COVID services says the new unit is in response to the increasing number of coronavirus patients they've seen over the last month and a half. The new COVID unit will assist coronavirus patients who are transitioning out of the intensive care unit. Freeman is currently caring for 46 COVID-infected patients, and the new unit will help deal with a pandemic that's requiring more and more of the hospital's resources.
With this addition of the third unit, this now represents about 20% of all of the bed capacity that Freeman has for just one diagnosis, just COVID patients.
Dr. McNabb says the vast majority of the patients they're seeing have not received a COVID-19 vaccine. More than 100,000 Missourians have already signed up for the state's vaccine incentive program. 900 residents who are or will become vaccinated will win $10,000. We learned that Missouri residents who are vaccinated in another state are eligible, but they will have to supply their vaccine card to prove they were vaccinated. Officials also reiterated that the program's main goal is to get unvaccinated Missourians to look at getting the vaccine.
500,000 people, looking at a website that's packed with factual information about vaccination in the state of Missouri. 500,000 people taking a look at that is a win already.
Officials say Missourians will not be able to remain anonymous if they win. The state will give their name and the city and county where they live. The first drawing is on August 13th. State health officials also met with local health officials in the state to discuss local incentives. As part of the Missouri VIP, $11 million of grant funding from the CDC will allow local health agencies to give up to $25 to each vaccine recipient. Barton County Health Department director says not many details for the program are set in stone. They know the state wants to get the program going quickly. Money will be given on gift cards, and local departments will have some say in how that money is given.
Using Moderna or Pfizer, which are two-shot vaccinations, then you will receive the full amount after you receive your second shot. You can divide that up, or however a county wants to do it. A lot of room for differences from county to county and how they implement it.
According to Dermott, the state wants the program to roll out towards the beginning of next month. The Missouri Supreme Court has vacated a lower court's decision in the state's Medicaid expansion case. The High Court says the voter-approved plan to offer Medicaid to more people should stand. Cole County Circuit Court argued that the plan violated the Missouri Constitution because it did not provide a funding mechanism. This came after Governor Mike Parson refused to implement the plan when the state legislature did not fund it. The state Supreme Court disagreed, and now the case will head back to the Circuit Court. The expansion is expected to add Medicaid eligibility for up to 275,000 Missourians. 6:07.
Temperatures already into the mid-70s in some places here, and we're still 9 minutes away from sunrise. It's going to be a very gorgeous day. Remember, if you got to be outside for extended periods of time, a lot of water, a whole lot of sunscreen as well, because the heat wave is now underway. Any chance for rain we get? Mainly going to be eastern and southern counties of the 4 states, and overnight, that's pretty warm overnight. That's an indicator of what we've got on Saturday and Sunday. Temperatures into the mid-90s, so while the heat index is about 96 today, instead we'll begin rolling triple digits there on Sunday, and that'll carry us all the way through next week as well.
That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, a diabetes uptick.
Pediatricians are seeing a troubling trend. I'm Danya Backus with how the pandemic is increasing a serious health problem in children.
Plus, the alcohol is out and the dollar signs are in. A new trend leads to a booze-free boom. And for our staycation series, we check out the Fort Scott Historic Driving Tour, where the town's vintage beauty is on full display. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. In Money Watch this morning, while many Americans consumed more alcohol during the pandemic, a growing number are cutting back or abstaining altogether. The The teetotaling trend has led to a booze-free boom, with more zero-proof brands hitting store shelves. CBS's Michael George introduces us to one entrepreneur who launched her product during the pandemic.
Like many Americans, Lily Geiger took a look at her own drinking during lockdown.
I myself was, just trying to kick the nightly glass of wine and came to realize I just wanted to create my own.
Geiger got her brand off the ground in April, an alcohol-free aperitivo called Philia.
Similar to a Campari or Aperol, you kind of mix it in as, something like a spritz, or, you could top it with soda water. It tastes sophisticated, but I think it's approachable to a lot of people, actually.
Philia is part of a booze-free boom. According to an IWSR drinks market analysis, the volume of no-alcohol products in the U.S. increased more than 22% last year and is forecasted to grow more than 23% over the next 4 years.
Most of those are made just like regular wine.
Barry Arnold owns Boisson, a zero-proof bottle shop with 2 New York City locations that also launched during the pandemic.
When we first started, we were basically begging some of these companies to send us product. Now we're to the point, thankfully, that we're getting 5 to 10 different companies reaching out to us. Some even drop the product by.
There are more than 300 products from 70 different brands on the store shelves here. Proof that zero proof isn't a passing fad. With names like Monday Gin and Sweet Reason, they channel their alcoholic cousins without the hangover. And customers are buying.
Thank you.
I'm looking for a thing that I can drink out and with friends and not have to, have booze.
Booze-free bottlers say as long as consumers continue to make healthier choices, business is bottoms up. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Well, this month is also Dry July, challenging people to abstain from alcohol and fundraise for cancer organizations. Crocs is accusing about 20 companies of copying its popular shoes. Crocs filed 4 trademark infringement lawsuits last week. It alleges some of the companies, including Walmart and Hobby Lobby, are selling cheap knockoffs of the clogs. In one lawsuit, the company pointed out that some customers have left online reviews confusing the shoes with Crocs. Drones are making it rain. Officials in the United Arab Emirates are using electrical charges from drones to zap clouds. It's designed to create large raindrops, which are more likely than small raindrops to hit the ground rather than evaporate in the hot air on the way down. Scientists began this process known as cloud seeding to help relieve the region of scorching hot temperatures. The method could be used in the future to relieve drought conditions worldwide. Victoria's Secret is changing again. The company says it sees opportunities in maternity clothing and in locations outside of malls. Victoria's Secret is being separated from Bath & Body Works next month and will be its own standalone company. Victoria's Secret's chief executive says it now wants to be the world's leading advocate for women, which makes maternity an important part of the business. It's also removing imagery in stores that no longer reflect the brand. The company says it could revive its fashion shows, but in a different way. Targets around the country are getting a makeover courtesy of Ulta Beauty. The 2 stores are joining forces to make beauty and skincare shopping even easier. Starting in August, more than 100 Target locations will be adding a mini Ulta store inside their beauty departments. The shop-in-shop store will feature some of Ulta's most popular selling brands, such as Bare Minerals, Clinique, MAC Cosmetics, Too Faced, Urban Decay, and more. The Ulta Beauty and Target mashup hopes to spread to a total of 800 locations in the coming years. That's it for Money Watch. We'll be right back.
6:17 not only means weather on the 7s, also puts us 1 minute past sunrise in Joplin. This is a live look outside of Television City. We'll wait for the glow cloud to make its way above the tree line right there. As we take a look at our temperatures, it's a warm morning. 73 in Joplin and Chanute. Let's roll 72 in Miami and Lamar. And then 71s in Fort Scott and Nevada. Wind has shifted, going to work in from the south all day long, but just 5 to 10 miles per hour, so it's not going to be too blustery. Still do have the flood warning for the Osage River until Sunday. That's at the Taborville gauge, but at least we've been able to back off the flood warning that extended to the west right there. It's about 3 feet above flood stage. Clean Skywatch Storm Tracker do want to point out what's up to our north. Do you see the purple color? That's for the Kansas City metro area. That is an excessive heat watch. That orange indicates a heat advisory. And it's rather impressive in scope in the fact that it stretches from northern Missouri all the way up through Iowa and as far east as Illinois. So it's going to be a hot one up there. It's going to be pretty hot here, but it's just, you know, it's going to be normal July temperatures. Just wait till next week. But look at this right here, that big V shape in the ridge of the jet stream where they've got warm temperatures ranging all the way up through central Canada. And no surprise that that's exactly where the severe thunderstorm risk mimics the low category as well. Kind of cut ourselves out of the severe category for today. You see a little rain down there. That's because it's going to work out of Arkansas and be more so for our southern and eastern counties. It's going to feel about like 96 this afternoon. As far as that rain goes, bottom of your screen is where it'll pop up at. The majority of it will stay east of the Ozarks. We'll see every now and then 5 to 10 minutes of some rain falling down and then kind of rinse and repeat for Saturday afternoon as well. Best chance is really going to be in between 2 and 5 p.m. Look up to the north and to the west right there. That's actually where we'll see the hottest temperatures for Saturday. Widespread mid-90s on Sunday, feeling about like easily 100 all the way through the rest of next week. Tanya?
All right, well, you've probably heard the saying, life's about the journey, not the destination. The same can be said about travel. Sometimes the drive can be just as rewarding. For our next 4-state staycation, KOAM photojournalist Liam Mandelbaum takes us on the Fort Scott Historic Driving Tour, where the town's vintage beauty is on full display.
We are right here on the historic brick streets of Fort Scott, Kansas. We have some homes that you will not be able to find in every community. Some of them are owned by Fort Scott natives, but such as this one behind me, we're fortunate that people have moved here from out of town. This couple moved here really simply for the home. The historic tour of Fort Scott starts out from the Chamber of Commerce and Visitor Center, takes you through our historic downtown, most of which all of the buildings are on the National Register of Historic Places. We have a trolley tour that runs on Friday and Saturdays by appointment, or we have a driving tour brochure that's available if people just want to tour on their own and check out the notable architecture of the historic homes, most of which were built in the late 1800s. So it is really neat to hear from visitors when they come in, how do you get your downtown revived like this? All the buildings, our downtown has just really had a resurgence in the past few years, and they're just like, how do you do it? How do you get people to take pride in the community? And we're blessed for that. You just can't build things like this today and replicate some of the things that they built back then, and the stories behind them as well.
A lot of beautiful homes on that tour. We'll put a map of its route in this story on our morning show page a little bit later this morning. And you can find that at KOAMnewsnow.com. We'll be right back. Topping Health Watch this morning, pediatricians are seeing a troubling trend during the pandemic. More children with severe cases of type 2 diabetes. Danya Bacchus has more.
17-year-old Andrew Aparicio has been making serious lifestyle changes after a big health scare last year.
The cramps and the fatigue I was feeling, I was really tired.
In May of 2020, he was hospitalized for a week and diagnosed with type 2 diabetes.
I kind of saw it happening because I was not eating healthy. It was all over the place with my diet.
A new study presented at the American Diabetes Association meeting shows Andrew is not alone. Researchers compared hospitalizations at a Louisiana hospital from 2019 to 2020 and found cases and severity of type 2 diabetes in children increased significantly during the peak of the pandemic.
Many of children's well visits with their doctors have been canceled. So people who may have been caught on routine well child visits, those may have been missed until that the condition has progressed.
Dr. Lily Chow with Children's Hospital Los Angeles says stay-at-home orders may also play a role since many kids may have been getting less physical activity, eating unhealthy, and spending more time on screens.
If you already are at risk of getting diabetes, putting all that extra weight on does not help.
Andrew says his diagnosis was a wake-up call. He's dropped more than 100 pounds through diet and exercise.
It's pretty crazy to think about how much I lost over the past year and how committed I've been ever since then, because I was really traumatized.
He's been able to cut back on his medications and is looking forward to starting his senior year of high school in better health. Danya Backus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Well, diabetes symptoms to look out for include increased fatigue, thirst, urination, and sudden unexplained weight loss. Well, a new study raises the red flag about red meat. Researchers warn eating beef, lamb, pork, and processed meats could lead to a higher risk of heart disease. The study cited processed meats like bacon, ham, or sausage as the worst offenders, raising the risk of coronary disease to 18% by eating 1 3/4 ounces. It rose 9% for those who ate the same portion of beef, lamb, and pork. The report examined data from a large number of studies, including research on over 1.4 million people over 30 years. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Don't worry, Four State Ranchers, I got your back. I'll pick up where everybody else leaves off. How about that? Tanya, you love steak, you know that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Eat beef, it's what's for dinner.
Thank you, as Matthew McConaughey likes to remind us. And that is kind of creepy, though, when he does remind us of that. Live look outside of Television City. Gorgeous start. Warm start, though. Temperatures are already ranging up into the mid-70s. So it'll feel about, say about like 96 later on this afternoon. That is our weather trend on this Friday, July the 23rd. That's pretty seasonable, honestly, because if we were to look at the daily almanac, you'll see that our average high would be, say about 91. And so really not that far off track. I do want to point out that record dates back 10 years ago today, where we got up to 105 degrees. Any rain that we do see here for next couple of days is mainly going to be to the south and eastern portions of southwest Missouri. It rolls up from Arkansas right there. Best time frame is going to be 2 to 5 p.m. for both today and for tomorrow. Just like that would be 4 to 5 time period. That's our peak heating hours. And then mid-90s all the way through the middle of next week.
Coming up, Carthage police recover the body of a missing person from Spring River. And as Missouri continues to deal with a rise in COVID cases, Freeman Hospital adds another COVID unit for patients. Also, authorities arrest a man who could be connected to bank robberies in Kansas and Missouri.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6:30. I'm Tanya Bach. We've got sun and we've got heat outside today. Let's go straight to our forecast.
Found it creeping over the tree line. There we go. Beautiful shot outside of Television City. 6:16 is when official sunrise was there, but had the trees. And if you'll notice, just in the background of the trees, picking up a little bit of low fog. Haven't had any visibility concerns, and it shouldn't affect your commute, but you get into some of those areas where you're going to run past the low-lying areas around streams, creeks, agricultural areas. Yeah, we are starting to develop just a little bit. It's not too bad, though. 72 in Carthage and Neodesha, 71 in Lamar, Pittsburgh, and Miami, with the wind coming in from the south. But when I say coming in, it's just 5 to 10 miles per hour. The flood warning for the Osage at the Taborville gauge still in effect until Sunday. And then as we jaunt up to the north, luckily, we don't have any of these colors intruding upon our counties, but the purple indicates an excessive heat warning, and then that orange, a heat advisory. So to give you an idea of the old heat dome that's made its way up into central Canada right there, that's a good indicator of how that heat is going to make its way to the south. Our weather trend has us up into the 90s for today. Pretty seasonable for what's pushing up to be the end of July here, with a little rain in between, say 2 and 5 p.m., mainly staying south of I-44, and we'll kind of rinse and repeat on Saturday with that same time period and that same geographic location. But the difference between Friday and Saturday, and Sunday is going to be, it just keeps on getting hotter. So by the time we get to the weekend, we're talking about, feel like 96 today, feel about like 101, 102 on Sunday.
Ooh, yeah, that's
And
definitely going to feel the
burn.
burn.
We just carry that all through the middle of next week.
All right, get used to it. All right, thanks, Michael. Carthage Police Department recovers a body from Spring River yesterday afternoon. Authorities believe the body is that of Thomas Whittaker of Carthage. Whittaker has been missing since July 6th. Carthage PD is conducting a death investigation and waiting on pathology reports to confirm the identity. Authorities arrest a man who could be connected to bank robberies in both Kansas and southwest Missouri. The Miami County Sheriff's Office in Kansas says officers arrested a suspect in the robbery of Landmark National Bank in Lewisburg, Kansas on Monday. Earlier this week, Joplin police were investigating whether it was the same man who robbed the Great Southern Bank later that same day. Surveillance images show a robber wearing similar clothing and driving a white car in both cases. Formal charges are still pending. Joplin's Freeman Hospital adds a third unit to handle COVID-19 patients. Freeman's Director of COVID Services says the new unit is in response to the increasing number of coronavirus patients they've seen over the last month and a half. The new unit will assist coronavirus patients who are transitioning out of the intensive care unit. Freeman is currently caring for 46 COVID-infected patients, and the new unit will help deal with a pandemic that's requiring more and more of the hospital's resources.
Addition of the third unit, this now represents about 20% of all of the bed capacity that Freeman has for just one diagnosis, just COVID patients.
Dr. McNabb says the vast majority of the patients they're seeing have not received a COVID-19 vaccine. City of Joplin hosted a public meeting last night to go over improvements they plan to make to the intersection of 4th and Murphy Boulevard. City officials say they plan to put in new lights at the four-way stop. The number of lanes is also changing. It's currently a 4-lane road, but now will be a 2-lane road with a center turn lane and a bike lane.
To see this one finally moving forward, and Murphy Boulevard is a popular route for people going to work and leaving work, so I think ultimately it should improve the quality of people's commute into and out of town.
Work on the intersection will begin in summer of 2022 and is expected to finish later that year. The changes will be funded by the capital improvement sales tax. Missouri Supreme Court vacates a lower court's decision in the state's Medicaid expansion case. The High Court says the voter-approved plan to offer Medicaid to more people should stand. Cole County Circuit Court argued the plan violated the Missouri Constitution because it did not provide a funding mechanism. This came after Governor Mike Parson refused to implement the plan when the state legislature did not fund it. The state Supreme Court disagreed, and now the case will head back to the Circuit Court. The expansion is expected to add Medicaid eligibility for up to 275,000 Missourians. Missouri's Attorney General Eric Schmidt announces a major opioid settlement. Under the settlement, Johnson & Johnson will pay out $5 billion in total to all states that agree to the terms. The multiple distributors will pay out $21 billion in total. Missouri could receive just over $500 million combined through these settlements. These settlements will be record-breaking for the state of Missouri. Federal judge temporarily blocks Arkansas's ban on gender-affirming treatment for transgender youth. The American Civil Liberties Union filed to stop the ban on behalf of 4 transgender adolescents in Arkansas, as well as 2 doctors who provide gender-affirming care to trans youth in the state. Ruling means for now Arkansas will not be able to begin enforcing the ban on July 28th, the day it was set to go into effect. The state's GOP-led legislature enacted the ban in April after overriding Republican Governor Asa Hutchinson's veto of the measure. LGBTQ and medical advocates strongly opposed the legislation, citing fears it could have significant negative impacts on the mental health of trans youth. That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News, a failed software update.
A widespread internet outage sparking fears of a hack. I'm Lauren Blanchard. What caused websites to go down and why politicians here in D.C. say it only shows more money is needed to improve the nation's infrastructure.
Plus, for our Something to Talk About, we're asking, are you watching the Olympics this year? We let you weigh in, but first, It's 6:37.
Whole bunch of 90s showing up on the 7-day forecast. You'll see a slight chance for rain each and every day. That's just really that what they call diurnal heating, daily hot time in between 2 and 5 p.m. and it's certainly not widespread. As a matter of fact, you're going to have to push down to the southern and eastern part of southwest Missouri. But one thing that's going to be all-encompassing, that is the heat as we progress up into the mid-90s by the time we get to Sunday. No heat advisories in effect for us as of yet. Got a feeling that's going to be subject to change over the weekend, but just be safe out there. A whole lot of sunscreen. Make sure you hydrate as well before you head out, and let's make sure we start taking care of those pets before we take off for work. And don't forget to check on your neighbors when you get home. We'll be back with Nation Watch next.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, a major outage online took down a number of major websites for about an hour on Thursday. What was feared to be another hack attack turned out to be a failed software update that briefly broke the internet. Lauren Blanchard explains why some in D.C. point to this as a reason for more infrastructure spending.
An internet outage knocking major shipping, travel, and banking sites offline Thursday. Websites including Amazon, Delta, Capital One, and FedEx all went down for about an hour. The content delivery network Akamai says a bug in their software configuration update caused the outages. But before the reason was known, there were immediate fears of a widespread hack. In a statement, the company confirming this was not a result of a cyber attack on the Akamai platform. With the third major internet outage in just 2 months, many fear U.S. infrastructure has not kept up with an increasing reliance on the web.
We know both our energy and our internet grids are not secure. They are not up to date. We need more investment.
Nor are there enough domain name system or DNS providers like Akamai that thousands of online businesses rely on.
If this is 1 hour, imagine if it was 6 hours or 12 hours. These internet outages can actually cause real actions to happen in communities.
The president continues to push for more infrastructure spending, including money for better and more secure internet, especially in rural areas.
What we're doing here is, in this race for the future, it's about connecting Americans, all Americans, rural and urban, to high-speed internet.
That's where the money should be focused, right? Certainly on hard infrastructure, but broadband, rural broadband, all kinds of revitalization efforts, but this is where the money should be spent.
According to the White House, the bipartisan spending bill would have $65 billion dedicated to broadband infrastructure. That's a look at today's top national stories. Let's check back in with Michael for our Something to Talk About.
Thank you, Tanya. On the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll, the Tokyo 2021, sounds odd to say, Summer Olympics, officially underway. It is a streamlined opening ceremony that's taking place this morning. USA women's basketball star Sue Bird and baseball infielder and former Winter Olympic silver medalist Eddie Alvarez chosen as flag bearers for Team USA. First Lady Jill Biden, she is leading the U.S. delegation at the opening ceremony. Like all competitions, the stands for the opening ceremony, they're going to be mostly empty. In addition to COVID's negative impact, the games have also been hit by some controversies as cases in Tokyo have reached a new 6-month high of nearly 2,000 people. They were talking about the soccer matches that are already commencing, and they said they had about 40 people in the stands consisting of the country delegates and some journalists, and everything that was said on the field was very, very audible throughout the entire stadium. Our question for you is, are you watching the Olympics this year? Right now, 80% of you, and we've seen that number increase throughout the course of the show since we opened the poll. 80% of you say, no, not going to watch this year. You can always take part in our poll each and every morning by going to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. We'll be back with birthdays and anniversaries right after this.
We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Paul Goodeagle, who served in the United States Army from 1942 to 1945 during World War II in France. His hometown, Miami, Oklahoma. We are proud to salute Paul Goodeagle, our four-state hero.
Our birthday list with Bree Beasley, who's celebrating her first birthday. That is a great picture right there. I know. What a look up. What a look for Miss Bree. She is in Girard. Happy birthday, kiddo.
What a cutie there. Cameron Borland turning 3 years old this year. Another cutie there. This one in Carthage.
Speaking of 3, that's what the ADB is turning right here. Olivia Diane Burns. Boy, you want to talk about getting dolled up for a birthday party right there. Olivia, I love the outfit. She is in Columbus.
Yeah, she'll be the belle of the party for sure. All right, and we've got Rinley Murphy celebrating birthday number 7 this year, getting a little pool time out in Seneca, Missouri. Happy birthday wishes coming from Mom, Dad, Roman, Ryder, Raylan, and Nanny.
Okay, so Rinley's got a birthday. I don't know how Mom and Dad do it. I have trouble with 2 of them that have the same letter in the first name. I'll mess their names up. I'll accidentally call one the other.
Yeah.
You got Rinley, Roman, Ryder, and Raylan.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
God bless you, Mr. and Mrs. Murphy. Colleen Newby, she is celebrating her 8th birthday. Colleen, I want you to have a marvelous day. This birthday wish comes from love from Mom and Dad. Colleen's in Oswego.
Right, and we've got James Shoulders celebrating birthday number 15 this year. James is in Oswego, and if it's James's birthday, then it's gotta be time to celebrate for Elizabeth as well. James's twin sister is also in Oswego.
I bet they're out at the fair.
Yeah, it's fair time.
I bet they're at the fair. If you see James and Elizabeth out there, make sure you tell them happy birthday. Gage Kirkwood. Yep, there it is, 16. Get the permanent license. Get all legaled up right there. Happy birthday, Mr. Gage. He's in Welch.
All right, and we've got Shelby. Wow, Shelby Linson, my friend, is now 28 years old. Looking good there, girl. And these are birthday wishes coming from Mom and Dad, who are so proud of you.
Carolyle Flanagan, celebrating her 80th birthday. Carolyle, a very happy birthday to you, ma'am. She is in Jasper.
And let's see, we've got Florence Kimray celebrating birthday number 95 this year. Miss Florence is in Pittsburgh. Nice picture there.
A couple in Columbus, one of those being Mr. Jim Bowles. Jim, a happy birthday to you, my man.
All right, and Janie Ruddick celebrating another year in Columbus as well.
Jim Ganaway is celebrating a birthday in Crestline. Happy birthday, Mr. Jim. John Crane Sr., not the younger one, the older one. John Crane Sr., happy birthday in Columbus. And Roxanne Out. Boy, I tell you, party in Crestline, huh? Roxanne has a birthday. She's also on the line. Happy birthday, Roxanne.
Let's see, the O'Briens are celebrating a birthday. There's Colt O'Brien, who is 33 in Fort Scott, and Clay O'Brien is 27 in Hepler. Now, Colt's birthday is actually on Sunday, but both of them have the chance to celebrate all weekend long.
Yeah, we'll throw them together. Mike Evans, round out our list right here. A happy birthday to Mike. He is turning 39. He is in Columbus. A happy birthday and happy anniversary to all on this July the 23rd. Maybe you're celebrating on the 24th. Maybe you're like Colt. You got a birthday coming up the 25th. We just want to say happy birthday to you before we head into the weekend. That's where you can send them into. Birthdays at KOAMTV.com. You can also go to KOAMNewsNow.com. Click on the birthday link. And while you're there, you may want to do something else. Here's where I introduce Tanya Bach with a very important birthday announcement.
That's right. You can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club by going to our website and signing up. And once you do, you'll get special deals from local businesses. So go to KOAMNewsNow.com and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club today.
At Foodful. Final look at our KOAM News Now Facebook page and Instapoll question, asking if you're watching the Olympics this year. It was opening ceremonies taking place this morning and certain events already underway. But right now, 74% of you say that's very nice, Michael, but not going to watch it. Of course, you can take part each and every morning. Poll's still open. If you want to chime in, all you have to do is go to KOAMNewsNow.com/vote. Tanya?
All right. Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. A sweeping internet outage briefly took down dozens of the world's biggest internet companies, including Google and Amazon. as well as major banks and airlines. The outage appears to have been triggered by a bug at Akamai, which hosts websites on its network platform. Akamai told CBS News it has implemented a fix and said this was not a result of a cyber attack. Carthage Police Department recovers a body from Spring River yesterday afternoon. Authorities believe the body is that of Thomas Whitaker of Carthage. Whitaker has been missing since July 6th. The Carthage PD is conducting a death investigation and waiting on pathology reports to confirm the identity. Authorities arrest a man who could be connected to a bank robbery in both Kansas and southwest Missouri. The Miami County, Kansas Sheriff's Office says officers arrested a suspect in the robbery of Monday's Landmark National Bank in Lewisburg, Kansas. And earlier this week, Joplin police were investigating whether it was the same man who robbed the Great Southern Bank later that same day. Surveillance images show a robber wearing similar clothing and driving a white car in both cases. Formal charges are still pending. Missouri Supreme Court vacates a lower court's decision in the state's Medicaid expansion case. The High Court says the voter-approved plan to offer Medicaid to more people should stand. Cole County Circuit Court argued the plan violated the Missouri Constitution because it did not provide a funding mechanism. This came after Governor Mike Parson refused to implement the plan when the state legislature did not fund it. State Supreme Court disagreed. Now the case will head back to the Circuit Court. The expansion is expected to add Medicaid eligibility for up to 275,000 Missourians. That's a check of today's top headlines. The news you need to know before you head out the door.
And when you do head out the door, give you an idea of what it's like when you look off to the east. We do have a little patchy fog that's beginning to develop, but it hasn't hampered any visibility upon our roadways, and I don't think it will. That sun should be able to burn it off relatively quick because we're going to warm up. We're going to warm up fast. Anywhere from high 60s to mid 70s is where we stand in an afternoon planner that's going to easily put us into the 90s. Any chance for rain that you do see? Going to work up from really northwest Arkansas, mainly for south areas of I-44. Prepare for a hot weekend, 93, 95, and just keep on rolling. Mid-90s all the way through next week.
Index is what we got to look out for next week.
Yeah, it'd be up to 101, 102 there by Sunday.
That's no good. All right. Well, got a lot more fun for you coming
Mr.
up today
Food is going to make something.
He's going to make
at
something.
Noon.
As soon as he
It's called a
updates his website, then I'll give you that tease for that.
I promise you.
They're a little behind.
Right.
It's still on yesterday's
No,
Amish
Howard
tomato
is
recipes.
actually at the store right now. It's probably at Ron's. He's probably at Ron's getting his ingredients.
Yeah, but he forgot to tease it on his website. So I can't tease it for
folks.
you.
It's a tie-in.
It's going to be exciting.
What up,
Just wait for
Ryatis?
it. Wait for it.
Your morning news continues on KOAM. We've got the CBS Morning News coming up next.
That's right.
Or you can switch on over to us on Fox 14. That is, of course, where your only local morning news continues. We will watch the old heat advisories expand throughout the northern portion of not only the United States, but see if they get close to us as well. Remember, if you're headed up to Kansas City, that is the lone place I can find right now in the United States that is actually under an extreme heat warning. That's right smack dab in the middle, just 2 hours away from us. So it gives you an idea of what is coming our way. I want to thank you all for joining us here on the KOAM Morning News. Have an excellent weekend. Just make sure you stay hydrated, whole lot of sunscreen. Neighbors, pets, let's check on them as well. And do me a favor, stay safe. We'll do this all again on Monday morning.
And we're going to do it again today at noon.